Hello everyone and welcome back to the Radiantly Feminine podcast. If you're new here, my name is Mookie and I have dedicated this space to helping women become their most authentic self, live their best life, all through embracing their feminine energy. So welcome back. This episode is about mastering the art of detachment. Now this is a really important episode for me because I have struggled with detaching. Like to this day, it's very hard for me to detach. It's a lot easier than it was in the past, but it's very important to be able to detach because you are not allowing your feminine energy to flow if you do not master the art of detachment. So if you have ever felt like you are way too attached to the outcome of something, or you're way too attached to somebody else to the point where it's literally draining you, then this episode is for you. So today we are going to talk about detachment and why it's a superpower. Now, detachment is a tool for emotional clarity. So once you are able to master the art of detachment, you were able to master your emotions at the same time. So you will be able to think clearly. You will be able to go through life without letting your emotions control you and the decisions that you make. You'll be able to go through relationships and navigate your relationships in a more emotionally clear way. You will also be able to respect yourself more. Detachment will provide you with that tool of self-respect. You won't allow certain things and people to come into your life when they are leading with disrespect. And we all know that if you are allowing people into your life that disrespect you, or you're accepting things that are disrespectful to you, that is going to erode or deplete you of your self-respect. And you're going to have to start rebuilding your self-respect up again after you have let those situations go. So mastering the art of detachment is just going to prepare you to make better decisions for yourself when it comes to your self-respect. Detachment will also provide you with tools to have healthier relationships, and you'll be able to maintain healthier relationships once you master the art of detachment, because it's not a fun sport. It's not fun having to cut people off and detach from everything. It's kind of hard, especially if you're not used to doing it. And like I said, for me, I've mastered the art of detachment, but it's still something that is hard for me because I am a fixed sign, so I do like to, have things remain the same. It's very hard for me to adjust to change, but if it's something that I know is needed, I will go ahead and put my big girl pants on and go ahead and do it. But when you master the art of detachment, you're going to have better emotional clarity, you're going to have better self-respect, and you are going to have healthier relationships because you are armed with the tools to be able to maintain all of these things. So I'm going to give you guys an example of a time that I had to master detachment, or I felt detachment was extremely necessary. When I was dating somebody, my ex-fiance, my child's father, I was with him for X amount of years, and I wanted to have a family with him. We were having a son, he had a daughter prior to us being in a relationship, and I wanted to have a family with him, but I knew that I didn't want my son growing up and looking at our relationship and normalizing our relationship, because it was a very unhealthy relationship. So when I decided that I needed to leave this relationship, I wasn't really privy to the law of detachment or the art of attachment. For what we're saying for the episode, we're using the art of detachment. I'm specifically staying away from the law of detachment because mastering it is an art. So I'll leave that at that. But I wasn't really privy to all of this when I decided that it was time for me to end this relationship. I knew it wasn't healthy. I knew I didn't want my son growing up seeing this and normalizing it. I knew that I didn't want him to grow up in an unhealthy household, and I didn't want to keep putting myself in unhealthy situations. So I decided that it was necessary for me to end that relationship. Now, it was hard, and it was extremely hard navigating life as a single parent, but I managed to make everything work. And that's the important thing about the art of detachment, is that you have to let go of how things are going to happen and just adopt the mindset that something better is always going to come. When you make room in your life for something else to come, it's always going to be better than the last. You don't have to hold on to something in the fear that you won't get something better. You will always get something better. And if you adopt that mindset of, oh, something better is always going to happen for me, it makes detaching that much easier. And if you really look back at your life and just think about all of the times that you have gotten through those hard situations, you will be able to see everything has always worked out for you. So when you adopt that mindset, if it's not this, it's something better, detachment is just going to be that much easier. Like I said, it's still hard for me because I just simply don't like having to cut people off or cut things out. But when I deem it necessary, I put my big girl pants on and I do it. Now, detachment is not about cutting people out and stopping certain things and just becoming cold to the point where you're avoidant. That's not detachment at all. Detachment is not about focusing on shutting people out and becoming cold and giving everybody the cold shoulder that doesn't align with you. It's not about that. That's not detachment. Detachment is about protecting your energy and staying true to yourself, no matter what. I say that to say detachment is the key to getting what you want in life. So like I said, you have to adopt that mindset of, if it's not this, it's something better. And for me, just going through life and saying that with everything, or saying it always works out for me. It has always worked out for me. It's proven to have always worked out for me. So I have nothing to fear. I have nothing to worry about. And once you adopt that mindset, like I said, detachment becomes that much easier. Now, I'm not saying that detachment is not hard, because I feel like I've already said that it's not hard. It's not something that I like to do. But when you take a step back and just look at the way you're operating, you're going to be like, hey, I'm not making choices that are benefiting me. I need to start making better choices. I need to start detaching from things that no longer serve me. And as you grow, you're going to notice that you're going to move out of alignment with things very quickly. Let's say you are aligned with a job or a friend, and then as time goes on, you're finding that you're no longer aligned with this, or the alignment is kind of shifting and you're growing and these things are staying stagnant. It's kind of like stepping stones is how I like to look at it. But when you are putting in the work to evolve and grow and improve yourself, you are going to notice that you are leaving alignment with certain things and certain people in certain situations. And that's okay. It's something that you just have to accept as somebody who is constantly growing and improving themselves. It's just life. And like I said, if it's not this, it's something better. So the things that you were aligned with, you were aligned with that for some reason, and they served a purpose in your life, but not everything is meant to have a future with you. Now, when we are mastering the art of detachment, we have to acknowledge that it's not just about removing ourselves from environments and people that we're no longer aligned with. On the other end of the spectrum, and when you're dealing with detachment, is letting go your control issues and your need to just have certain outcomes. So what I mean by this is you're going to need to let go of the outcome of your goals. Just know that whatever you want wants you back. And you have to adopt that mindset when you are mastering the art of detachment. So let's say you want to buy a new Chanel handbag and your goal is to have this one day. Instead of focusing on having it, you need to let go of that. And I say that because when you are constantly focusing on what you don't have, you're inviting in the mindset of scarcity mindset or lack mindset, and you're just confirming that you do not have said thing. And yes, we know it's obvious, but the whole point of wanting things or wanting certain outcomes and wanting certain people is because they evoke a certain feeling in us. And we are not necessarily going after that Chanel handbag, that perfect friend, that perfect relationship. We are going after the feeling that comes with those things. So once you let go of needing that person, needing that bag, needing that material item, needing that lover, you are going to say, I'm already good without it. I already have those feelings within me. And that's the whole point of detaching, is just knowing that you already have it and letting go of that lack mindset and shifting your thoughts. So one way you can practice this is just visualizing what you want And I take about like 5 to 10 minutes a day and just visualizing what I want. And when you visualize what you want, you have to feel the feelings that come with having those things that you want. So detaching is not necessarily letting go of the whole idea, but you do have to let go of the outcome to the point where you are not feeling like you don't have it anymore. So once you're able to do that, visualize it for a few minutes every day. And it doesn't have to be consistent. I honestly am not consistent with it. But when you are visualizing it and spending a few minutes a day visualizing it, you are evoking those feelings without necessarily having the things that you want. And then once you already have the feeling within you, like, oh, I already have this, I'm good now, I don't need that feeling or I don't need that thing because I already have this feeling, those things are naturally just going to start gravitating towards you. Just think about it. When you need money and you're like, oh, I don't have this, I need money for this bill, I need this for that, and you're focusing on what you don't have, your subconscious mind is basically like, oh, let's keep finding things to show her she doesn't have what she is constantly thinking about. But once you evoke those feelings of, oh, I already have it, my bills are already paid, I don't need to worry about this, your subconscious is going to look for situations that show you your bills are covered, you already got money in your account, this and that, and then money is going to start flowing to you more easily, and that's just the law. And that's just how energy flows. It flows to things that are open, that are grateful, that are willing to receive, and that's your feminine energy opening up and allowing you to receive these things as well. Like I said, when you are holding on to outcomes, to people, to jobs, to situations, you are not holding on to them specifically, or just holding on to the feeling that you will get from having them. To sum that all up, your energy goes where your attention flows. So if you are focusing on what you don't have, your energy is going to go into what you don't have. You're just pouring your energy into whatever. But when you focus on what you do have, you're pouring your energy into that, and then that makes space for more good things to come. With all that being said, detachment is just emotionally separating from the outcomes. It's not necessarily separating from people. So let's say you are trying to cut somebody out and you want to detach from them emotionally. You are just separating your emotions from that person, and then the rest will follow suit. So if you are needing to cut that person out, I do recommend telling them and having that conversation with them, because I think ghosting is immature. But the art of detachment when you are dealing with people is not to just shut everybody out, shut people out. If you are feeling that you need to detach from that person, you just have to simply emotionally separate from the outcome of what that situation is going to hold or what that person is doing. When you are detaching, you're going to notice that instead of being reactive to patterns and outcomes and situations, you are going to simply just observe what the outcome is, what the situation is, what the person is doing in your life that's upsetting you. You're simply going to observe rather than react, and that's how you know you are mastering the art of detachment. And like I said, detachment is not about being cold, it's not about being avoidant. That is not detachment, that's avoidance, and that is coldness. I don't want you to confuse those two with detachment, because detachment is healthy. Detachment is something that provides you with tools to move forward in life, and avoidance and coldness are not allowing you to open up to your highest potential, or reach your highest potential. And I want to debunk one myth. Detachment is not about being indifferent. It's self-respect and it's emotional responsibility. So this will look like, I realized I felt detached when I stopped pushing for someone to act a certain way, and suddenly I could see them and myself more clearly. So like I said earlier at the beginning of this episode, detachment is simply about letting go of control. And you all probably have heard me talk about this in previous episodes, but a big part of embracing your feminine energy is letting go of control, learning how to let go of control, because we can force things to happen. We can, control what we do, but we cannot control outcomes, we cannot control other people, we cannot control other people's decisions, we cannot control environments. You have to simply let go of control. And once you do, I don't know about you guys, but once I learned how to let go of control, I learned how to relax more. And I was honestly in fight or flight. My nervous system was in fight or flight. So I was really stressed out. But once I started to let go of control, I noticed a lot more stress leaving my life as well. Once you learn how to let go of control, once you learn how to detach, you're going to fully allow your feminine energy to flow and do its thing, so that way you can, become your best self. Now, I want to talk about some of the common reasons that it feels hard to detach. Now, for a lot of us, emotional dependency is probably the number one thing that makes detaching hard, because we as humans, we rely on validation, we rely on attention, and we rely on affection just so we can feel safe and worthy. So this will make it extremely hard to be able to detach from people and outcomes and situations, because we have that emotional dependency. If I have this, then I'm doing good. If I see that, or if I'm around this, then I'm good. If I have this certain outcome in my life, then I'm good. So all of these things can keep us stagnant and not allow us to detach from things that are going to propel us into our higher timelines. Fear of being lonely or losing is another thing that keeps us from being able to detach, because letting go can really feel like rejection or abandonment. And I'm not going to sit here and say those feelings are invalid, because I've experienced those things. Like, it's very hard when you face loneliness and loss, but you are never truly alone if you have a good relationship with yourself. And if you're comfortable being alone and being in your own energy, you're never really going to feel loneliness. And I do want you to know that the things that you choose when you are feeling lonely or desperate are always going to be things that you'll regret later. So I want you to just keep that in mind when you are letting the fear of loss and loneliness hold you back. Past conditioning can also keep us from detaching. This can be from family, this can be from culture, and from previous relationships that may have curated anxious attachment in us. So we will be scared to let go because we don't know what's going to happen. No one really knows what's going to happen in the future. But the art of detaching is just trusting the process and trusting that everything is just going to work out for you, because it already has to this point. And then the last thing that keeps us from detaching is attachment to outcomes. This just goes back to control and having control issues, and just wanting to control how someone acts or how a situation turns out will keep us tied up to stress and attachment, and it will not allow us to detach if we are holding on to these things. I always struggle with detaching from friendships. And it's not easy for me to say this, but I know what I must do, and I know when a situation is no longer serving me. But it's very hard, because when I let people close to me and then I'm just like, shoot, I have to cut them off. Trust me, I do what I have to do, but it's not an easy task for me to do. So when I'm having to let go of friends, and it's so funny because I was literally just thinking back in the past when I was hanging out with these two girls, and one of them was my friend and one of them was a friend of my friend. We would all hang out, and then I think we were playing like a game or something, and we were just going around asking each other questions back and forth. And they were like, who cuts people off the most? And they both said Mookie at the same time. And I was just like, yeah, you're right. I do. Like, I am always cutting people out, because not everybody that I let in my life is going to be in my life for the long run. Like I said, I'm constantly evolving and improving myself, and I find myself outgrowing situations, environments, and people a lot faster than the average person, because I refuse to stay complacent. And for a time, I thought there was something wrong with me. I was just like, maybe I'm cutting people off too much. But that's not the case. The case is that some people come into my life, a lot of people have come into my life to serve as lessons, to show me where I will be if I choose to stay stagnant, if I choose to stay complacent. Not every that I have encountered has needed to be cut off. And I say that because I'm not cutting everybody out of my life. Like, no, there are some situations, or there are some people that were meant to stay in my life, but not everybody is meant to go to my higher timeline. And I've just come to accept that. And yeah, it has gotten lonely at times, but it has all worked out for the better. So I say all of that to say, I want to challenge you to notice where you are holding on to control and ask yourself, is this protecting me or is this limiting me? But back to the story, I really did struggle with the idea of maybe I am cutting people off too much. But then I think back to the situation and I'm just like, if I were to stay connected to that person, it would require me to resort back or revert back to an old version of myself. And that's just not something I'm willing to do. So yes, alignment does come with outgrowing people, or becoming your authentic self, I should say, does come with outgrowing people. Improving yourself and evolving and constantly learning new things and, becoming more enlightened will require you to outgrow people. So what does detachment look like in real life? Like I stated in the beginning of this episode, detachment comes with emotional clarity. So when you do find that you're outgrowing people, just know that you're making space for people that you are better aligned with. And I want to just say that the people that have stayed in my life were people that were able to grow alongside me. So I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody that I was friends with is bad. Like, no, they serve their purpose in my life, but I cannot stay close to people that are not growing. So I want to just make that clear, because I don't think I was saying that, or I don't think I was adding that into my point. But the people that are not growing as I am growing will never be able to stay in my life, because I am not going to, stay complacent and just remain who I am and not improve on things. And I'm not saying like something's wrong with me. There's just new things that I'm learning. Every day is a new day, and I'm not the same person that I was yesterday. So if I encounter people that are okay with being who they are and staying how they are and not improving in any way, shape, or form, then I will outgrow them. But the people that have stayed in my life have grown as well. They have grown alongside me. We don't have to grow in the same ways, but they have grown alongside me, and we are always able to maintain a healthy relationship or connection that way. So I'm not saying that I'm always going to constantly be cutting people out, saying that I have to cut the people out that are complacent in their life and that are okay with being stagnant. What does detachment look like in real life? So like I said earlier in the episode, you will get emotional clarity as a tool when you learn how to detach. So you will be able to understand relationships as they are and not as you hope they will be. And you will also have reduced anxiety, and you will stop overthinking, and you're not just constantly reacting to every situation, every thought, every text, every word, every action. You're also going to have a stronger sense of self-worth and your value and your feelings. You will also have a stronger sense of self-worth. So that means you're going to have more value to yourself. You are going to have stronger feelings, and you're going to be more aligned with your feelings and be able to acknowledge them just like that. And you will have stronger boundaries. That is a big one. The more you evolve, the more you improve yourself, the better your boundaries, the stronger the boundaries your boundaries are going to get. But once you master the art of detachment, you are going to find it so much more easier to have stronger boundaries, because you're like, okay, these are the ones that are protecting me, and these are the ones that are, serving their purpose. So I'm going to be able to uphold these. It's just like lifting weights. When you are strength training, you are increasing your weights as you go. Every time you do these exercises, you're going to increase your weight as time goes on. So it's going to be a lot easier to lift those old weights. So it's just like your boundaries. They'll get stronger as you go. They might get heavier as you go to carry them, but they'll be a lot easier to uphold. And then once you master the art of detachment, you are going to see that you attract healthier relationships, and you are going to be able to maintain those healthy relationships as well. And not just relationships, it's also going to be healthier dynamics too, healthier environments. Things are going to get better once you master the art of detachment, because that's all you're doing is just switching your mindset from, if it's not this, then it's something better. So once you remove things, or once you detach from certain people, outcomes, and things in your life, you are making room to accept better. And then this is my favorite. When I mastered the art of detachment and learned more about the law of detachment, once I learned about the law of detachment, and I learned how to master the art of detachment, I got better pattern recognition, and that made me so happy because I was just able to see how certain outcomes in certain situations and certain people would play out. And so I love having my sense of pattern recognition because I just already know what's going to happen before it happens. So once you master the art of detachment and just are able to look at things in a more logical way, then you will be able to see, and not only that, but you're able to let go of control and, you know, the outcome of everything. But once you're able to just detach, you can see how things are going to play out. And you're going to pick up on the patterns a lot more easier. I say all of that to say, recently, I had to detach from this guy I was dating. And it's so funny because I was thinking back, my friend, when I was creating the outline for this episode, my friend at the time, she was just like, she had met him and she was just like, why are you still with him? And I was just like, I'm in the process of detaching. And that's all it was to it. I have to emotionally detach before I can actually, you know, just cut a person out. But like I said, it's not about avoidance, it's not about coldness, so I never wanted to be that way. But I was extremely emotionally attached to this guy. And I had to cut him out because he was bringing a lot of chaos and drama into my life. And I was just like, this is not aligned with me. Like, yeah, I like you. I liked you more when I met you. But all of this drama and chaos is pushing me out of alignment. And I can't allow this in my life. Like, I'm not somebody who thrives in chaos and stress and drama. And so when somebody is trying to bring that into my life, I look at that as a gotta go situation. Like, I have to get out of this right now. So of course I have to emotionally detach before I could leave that situation. But once I was able to detach from that, my life got so much more peaceful. I was able to partake in my routines again, and everything just felt more healthy and aligned from that point on. So when I do notice that something is no longer aligned with me, I do notice that I have to detach from it, or else my life is going to start going downhill. Because when I accept things that are not aligned with me, then I fall out of alignment. And this has happened before, and I will admit that I was with him a lot longer than I should have been because I was extremely attached to this guy in an unhealthy way. But once I, you know, got him out of my life, everything got back on track. But I will say, when you are connected to the wrong people and you are meant for something higher, just know that they will take you off your path. So before we end this episode, I want to just go over 5 steps that you can take to start mastering the art of detachment. Step number 1 is just shift your focus inward. I want you to prioritize your joy, your hobbies, and your personal growth. So this is just going to be you pouring energy into yourself and stop pouring energy into the things that you're trying to control. Step number 2 is just observe without reacting. Like I said, I noticed I was doing this, and you'll notice that you're doing this when you start detaching. You're going to be able to observe rather than react, and then as time goes on, this just gets easier and easier after each situation. So you're going to notice feelings and patterns without impulsively acting on them. And a big part of me embracing my feminine energy required me to stop being so reactive and stop allowing my emotions to control me and my decisions and how I reacted to things. So this is just getting control of your emotions. Step number 3 is set healthy boundaries. Know what's acceptable for you and communicate it calmly and clearly. So your boundaries do not exist if you do not communicate them and if you do not uphold them. They do not exist. Step number 4 is release control of outcomes. Accept that others may act in ways you cannot predict or control. And this is a big one. It's okay if we cannot predict how other people are going to act because they have their own autonomy, and it's wrong if we try to take that away from them. And then the second one is you cannot control how people will act. So you have to release your control of outcomes. And this can be with outcomes for your goals, outcomes for people, outcomes for situations, anything. Release that control. And then the last step, step number 5, is check your own self-talk. I need you to replace fear-based thoughts with empowering ones. And I was just sharing this with some individuals the other day is I had a hard time releasing fear in my life, because fear was another thing that was keeping me stagnant. But if you are constantly saying, oh, this is not going to work out for me, I'm scared, I don't know how this is going to go, you are basically just staying stagnant. You are literally embracing your fear-based thoughts, and that needs to stop. So whenever you catch yourself thinking, oh, this isn't going to work out for me, oh, I'm scared, I don't know what's going to happen, blah, 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 just replace that with some positive or empowering thoughts. So before we end this episode, I want you to just ask yourself, take time to ask yourself or think about current attachments that are causing you stress. If they are causing you stress, they are most likely out of alignment with you, and you probably need to detach from them. And then if you are having a hard time releasing control, I want you to just observe what you were trying to control without judgment, and then ask yourself, what can I control and what can I release? And if you're finding the need to control it, you probably need to release it. I just want you to know that detachment equals clarity, it equals self-respect, and it equals emotional freedom. And once you master the art of detachment, you're going to have peace, stronger boundaries, and healthier relationships. So I'll leave you guys with this quote. Detachment isn't distance, it's freedom. Freedom to love, to grow, and to live without losing yourself. So I do want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today, choosing growth and walking down this path with me. So if today's episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend who may need to hear this message. And if you haven't yet, please follow the show, leave a review, and rate the show. It will actually mean the world to me if I see you do it, so I want to see you do it. And besides, it helps this message reach other people. So please and thank you. Until next time, stay soft, stay powerful, and stay grounded in your truth. I love you, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.